Hey man, where you at? Hey Frank, you back here?
I'm in the closet, dude. Come through the bathroom.
In the closet.
Hello, Andrew. Do you find it weird that we're shooting a video in the closet today? Does that alarm you?
Normally I'd be alarmed, but with you, it doesn't seem too weird.
It's just a couple of dudes in a closet with a video camera on the internet. How could that possibly be strange? I don't understand your logic.
It's strange. Seriously, man, what are we doing in the closet?
Okay, dude, this is horrible, actually. The worst has happened. Here, come upstairs, I gotta show you something. All right, so as you can imagine, this is my wife's closet. Most of this stuff is hers. I can neither confirm nor deny allegations of some of these shoes appearing on my feet. Later in this video, we are a couple of dudes in the closet after all. But anyway, check this out. So my wife is a model, big in the fashion stuff, as most models are, crazy about the shopping. So the other day, we go to Gucci at the mall. So we go in there, and we bought a lot of stuff there, and they know her, you know. And they come up to me, and they say, hey, man, you want to be on the consignment program? So I was born and raised in Macon, Georgia. So consignment program to me means you take all your old stuff and give it to them like a yard sale, and then they sell it and y'all split the money. So I'm like, yeah, sure, man. I got some old shirts. I put on some weight. Tell me when you want to bring them in. And they're looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Turns out, different kind of consignment program altogether. So we sign up for this thing, and basically what it is a program where Gucci just sends you stuff, and they bill you for it, and if you get it, and then you say, I don't want this, this, or this, and they take it off your bill. And I'm like, okay, sure, you know, so we sign up for it. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, my gosh, what great positioning to be in for Gucci and for other stores like them, because now we're, you know, not naturally, it's not just them anymore, right? So I started wondering, how cool would it be for your business, for my business, for any business, to have such a great relationship and have so much demand with prospects and customers that not only is it easy to make sales, right, but they love you and they love your stuff so much that they're like, dude, whatever you have, just send it to me. I have that much trust in you, right? They literally have this carte blanche with us. So the bad news is, if we try to reverse engineer it, right, from a Gucci perspective or a big branding perspective, these big brands, just like a Rolls Royce, like I showed you in the last video, and in this case, Gucci and all these high fashion stores, man, these dudes have spent like billions, probably literally billions of dollars over the course of generations now on branding type advertising. So I'm no psychic. I know I don't want to do that. I'm using my cold reading powers to guess that you don't want to do that either. So the question becomes, how do you and I do it, right? Businesses that don't have that giant budget, and maybe we're even starting on a shoestring or whatever. How do people like us create an instant bond with prospects, turn those guys into customers quickly, and then maintain trust and value and an incredible and an exceptional relationship with our customers so that they just want everything we have? The good news is there's a process for this. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process that I have personally used to come as close to this as possible for the past 15 years. This might be the most effective secret I could ever tell you when it comes to building desire and trust in your marketplace. You ready to get to work? Let's go downstairs and get to work. But before we go, do you think I should take this? Do you think this is a good?
No, I think you're good without that.
You don't think I need this?
No.
Why not? What's wrong with it?
I mean, it just doesn't match that outfit.
Trying to be creative. Some people aren't fashion forward. Okay, welcome to the studio with a big whiteboard in it. You can't have a video without a big whiteboard, not in an internet marketing promotion, right? So we were talking about how do we be like Gucci and Rolls Royce, right? How do we have this unbelievable desire for people to buy our stuff where they just love us? Well, there's a formula that guys like us can use. So in order to really explain the formula, first, let's examine why someone would not buy from you, right? There are really only 3 reasons why anyone would not want to buy from you. Number 1, they don't want what you're selling. Not a lot we can do about that, and like I showed you in the last video, very unlikely they're going to request information from you if they don't want some kind of result. So that's kind of a non-issue. The other 2, though, are. Number 2 is that they don't trust you. They don't believe you. No matter how good you say your stuff is, no matter how loud you yell, they just might not believe you. And number 3, is a really important one that nobody really addresses, and that is they might not believe in themselves, meaning they might want the result, they might believe that you have the capability to help them get it, but they don't have enough self-esteem to believe that they can put forth the effort to get whatever the result is that they want to have happen, right? So these are all three factors that we need to contend with and overcome. Well, most importantly, the second two. Trust in you and trust in themselves. So how do we do it? Well, there are three levels of influence that we can deploy as marketers. And this big old circle here represents level number one. This is the most popular level. This is what we say about ourselves and about our product. So the good news is this is what all of your competition's doing. They're out there saying, look how great my stuff is. They're yelling louder and louder. Their promises are bigger and bigger and bigger and blah, 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 blah. No one's really paying attention to that because even though this is the most popular level of influence, this is the least effective, right? Now, the second level of influence is what others say about us, right? And this is also immensely popular. Now, because we're online, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, people are always talking about social proof, testimonials, get everyone endorsing each other and all that kind of stuff. Well, look, it's no surprise that that's not working that well anymore. Why? Because people are getting blind to it. It just doesn't instill the trust that it used to. And that's okay, because that's what your competition's doing. Let them go forth and do that all they want. The third level, and the most effective level, and the most underutilized level is right here. And that is what we demonstrate about our stuff. See, when we demonstrate that our stuff is awesome, that is the most powerful influence you can have, and the reason why is because it triggers something called an internal decision trigger. So when we make a decision, say to purchase something, for example, we can have two types of decisions that are made. On one hand, we have an internal decision. On the other hand, we have an external decision. So an external decision is when someone convinces us of something. So when everyone's talking about how great their product is and when they have all of their social proof and all of that kind of stuff, they're going for an external decision. They're trying to convince you, right? Now, the reason an internal decision is much more powerful is when we decide something for ourselves, we own that decision. No one convinced us. No one talked us into it. It's ours. And here's what's interesting is statistically, even in the face of evidence showing that our decision might have been wrong, if we make that decision internally, we're liable to stick to it and defend it, even if we know that the decision is wrong. So what our mission is to create internal decision triggers within our prospects and customers by demonstrating the value of what we have. And I have great news for you. I'm going to show you a formula that I've used for the past 15 years to trigger those internal decisions time and time again in prospects. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can trigger the same decisions in your prospects and customers as well. So let's hop on over to the computer. I'll show you exactly how it's done. So in order for us to really do a good job of this, we always have to keep the customer and the prospect's outcome in mind. And we always have to make sure that everything we're doing is really designed to actually help these guys out and thus foster goodwill and cultivate trust. And one of the best ways to do that is to really figure out exactly what the prospect wants to accomplish. So I want you to imagine that you've got all of your prospects and even your customers, and they're all in a room together. So let's say you have them all at a seminar or something, and you're speaking, and you say, okay, guys, I want you really quickly to write down why you've come here today, right? And probably all of their answers would somehow revolve around the solution to what they would consider a predominant problem, right? Like the big thing that they need help with. So for example, let's say you help businesses make more sales. So really what you're ultimately helping them do is to solve the problem of having low sales, right? Well, if you look at that problem of low sales, it's important to realize that a lot of stuff could be causing it. Low sales could be a symptom of poor conversion. It could be a symptom of not having a list. It could be a symptom of not having any traffic. It could be a symptom of not having a good follow-up system. So even though we had all of these customers and prospects in the same room, they would all really write down different answers. they wouldn't just say low sales. They'd say, well, I'm not making enough money because my conversion's bad. I'm not making enough money because I don't have a list. So with that in mind, everything we need to do, first of all, needs to focus on specific messaging. So let's say you've got a guy who has no sales because he doesn't have good conversion. Well, the last thing we want to do with this guy is talk to him about more traffic, right? Because if his conversion's bad and we get him a ton of traffic, he's just going to waste a lot of traffic with bad conversion. So he's probably going to lose money, right? So that's the first thing. We always need to make sure we're talking to the right prospect about the right solution. And usually there's a whole manner of more solutions than we realize that we can help these people with. The second thing we need to realize is, in fact, we don't actually want to try to sell the customer at all, especially at first. See, what we want to do at first is let him sell himself through internal decision making, just like I was talking about earlier in the video. So specifically, here's how you do it. The first thing we need to do is we need to know the map. And what I mean by that, metaphorically, is you need to know where the prospect is and where he wants to be. So the way you do this is get out a piece of paper if you want to, or you can just imagine one. This is a relatively simple exercise. And on that piece of paper, draw a horizontal line. So it would look like this. Pretty standard issue horizontal line. Now, the left-hand side of this line represents where he is now. So in this example, he's over here in the red zone. He's got low sales due to bad conversion. So the right-hand side, which is where the green circle is, that represents where he wants to be. So in this case, he wants to be making more sales due to better conversion, right? So what he basically needs to do is go from point A here to point B, right? He needs to go from red to green. And just like any journey, whether it's exercising to lose weight or meet and attract your mate or future spouse or increase your business, anytime we go on a journey that's represented here from red to green, from point A to point B, there's a series of things that we have to do in order to get to the other side. So if point A over here, the red part, represents not having the result, and point B, the green part, represents having the result, we know that no matter what the result is, there are going to be a series of things that we have to do in order, usually, in order to get that result, right? So what I want you to do on your piece of paper is sort of mark these down. I want you to list 5. And what these 5 things are going to do is they're going to represent things that must be accomplished in order for your prospect to get the results he wants, right? So in order for him to go from point A to point B, from red to green, he's got to do all the things in this right sequence here that are represented by these little lines. So for example, all right, let's say that we're talking to this person about conversion. He's over here, he's on the right-hand side, he's got bad conversion, he's over here on the left-hand side, he's got bad conversion, he wants to get to the right-hand side in the green zone with good conversion. Well, there are 5 things that we can help him with, right? And we really want to help him in this order. So let's say we're going to say, all right, Mr. Prospect, we're going to help you increase conversion and teach you how to write good sales letters. The first thing we're going to teach him how to do is how to write a good headline, right? You got to have a good headline. Second thing we're going to teach them to do is how to write a subhead, the little thing underneath the headline that sort of sells them on reading the rest of the letter. Then we're going to teach them how to write a good opening, right? And that's the part of the letter that says something like, if you've ever wanted to lose 10 pounds in 35 seconds, this is the most important letter you'll ever read. Here's why. Of course, that wouldn't be true, but you get my drift, right? Third thing or fourth thing we're going to teach them is how to write bullets. And finally, we're going to teach them how to write a guarantee. And if he does all of these 5 things and he does them well, next thing you know, he's got a pretty good sales letter, right? And he's getting results. Now, here's what's very, very interesting about this approach. Incidentally, each one of these little, I call them milestones, each one of these milestones, we give them this information one at a time. And here's what happens when we do. Let's say he opts in on Monday, and on Tuesday, we send him the email about here's how to write a good headline, right? So we know he wants to increase conversion. We know he wants to make more sales. So we give him this email, and it's like, hey, man, I've just written this article for you or made a video or whatever, and it shows you how to really increase your sales by writing good headlines. So here's what happens, right? This green line represents his trust in us. And after he goes through and we teach him how to write a good headline and we really show him how to do this, his trust level starts to go up, right? Because he's like, wow, this guy just helped me. He just gave me some results in advance, because after he's consumed that content and learned how to write the good headline, he's got some results. He's like, wow, this is killer. And his logical response to that is, okay, now what do I do, right? So now we teach him how to write a good subhead, and we do that for him on Wednesday or Thursday. And after he does that and he consumes that content, whether it's a video or an article or a webinar, it doesn't matter, his level of trust in us is going up. And as we go through each one of these milestones, his level of trust in us continues to go up and up and up. And what's interesting is now I want you to check out this purple line. Purple line represents his desire for what we have. So what do you think is going to happen after this guy on like day number 1, he's learned how to write a good headline? Now he's starting to see the light, right? He's like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, I can see, this makes sense. Now what do I do, right? So now his desire for our stuff, our information, more stuff from us, that's going up as well. So every time we help him pass through one of these milestones, his desire goes up. Now, do you remember what our 3 objectives are when we want to have someone create an internal decision trigger? It's to increase their trust in us, increase the desire for what we have, and increase their trust in themselves. They need to also believe that they can get the result, because if we fail to do this, they might have that reaction where they say, well, yeah, you can do this because you have magic powers or whatever, but I never could. So we need to help them have this trust in themselves. So what do you think is going to happen when the guy goes out, he reads our headline article or watches a video on how to make a good headline, right? It's a little 5-minute video or whatever, and he's like, wow, I think I'm going to test that out. And he changes his crappy headline and puts the new headline in there, and now he's got better results. How do you think he's going to feel about his ability to get results for himself? Well, obviously, that's going to start to go up, right? His trust in himself will go up. Now, when he learns how to write the good head or sub-headline, his trust in himself is going to go up even more. And the opening is going to go up even more. And the bullets, it's going to go up even more. And by the time you've done all of these things and you've helped him pass through these milestones in advance of ever really asking for money, his desire for your stuff is going to go up. His trust in you is going to go up. And most critically, his belief in himself is going to go up, not because of hype, not because of any shenanigans, not because of any trickery, simply because you have been the only person in your marketplace to actually help him accomplish stuff, right? So let me show you how folks like us actually do this. So what I want to do now is shift from cerebral conceptual stuff and now move into tactical stuff. So here's the way we do it. Let's stick with this example, right? So we know that we need to teach them headlines, subheads, openings, bullet points, and guarantees, right? I think there was one other thing in there as well. So the first thing we're going to do is he's opted into our list, and we're going to send him a little email, and it's going to say, hey, Bob, thanks so much for joining in today. I've got a great video for you, and it shows you how to it shows you how to use good headlines in your marketing so you can sell more stuff. He goes to that video, he watches it, and at the end of the video, we do something interesting. At the end of the video, we say something, I'll teach you this language pattern in a minute, but we say something like, hey man, if you like this video and you're really into headlines, you're really going to love my deluxe course on how to increase your sales. Here's what it'll do for you, and here's where you can learn more. And so he'll click away from that video, and he'll go to the main sales page, right? And the sales page you see on the screen is just kind of a representation of the sales page, all right? And so he'll either buy or he won't buy, but let's say he doesn't buy, right? Well, the next day or 2 days later, however you want to time it, you're going to send him another video. You're not going to bother him. You're not going to say, why didn't you buy my stuff? You're not going to push anything towards him like everybody that he hates is doing. You're going to be the super cool person that he's going to absolutely love forever and be a raving fan of, because you're going to say, hey, Bob, you know, today I've just created this new video for you, and it picks up where we left off yesterday. In this video, I'm going to show you how to write subheads that get people to devour the rest of your sales letter like never before. I hope you enjoy it. Go here and watch it. He's going to go over to this little page. That's what this little square over here with my lovely face represents on the left, and he's going to watch that video. At the end of the video, you do the same thing. You say, hey man, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. You know, listen, if you're into the sales copy thing and you really want to sell more stuff, then I really encourage you to go check out this great new product of mine. It's called the XYZ product. And he clicks from the video, goes to the main page, and either he buys or he doesn't. And guess what we do? We do this every single time that corresponds with one of his milestones. So remember, he had 5 milestones: headlines, subheads, opens, bullet points, and guarantee. Every time we're sending him this good content, teaching him how to do one of these milestones, and every time at the end of the content we say, hey man, if you enjoyed this, you're really going to like this product, go over here to the sales page, and then he'll either buy or not, right? And now what do you think this does for sales? Well, remember, our goal really at this stage isn't to convince him to buy. Our goal is for him to convince himself to buy through internal decision triggers, right? So every one of these little boxes you see with my face in the middle of it on the left-hand side of the screen, that represents some content where we're walking him through that milestone. So by the time we've given him all 5 pieces, he has decided for himself that, man, this dude is killer. This guy really, really helps me. This is unbelievable. I'm already getting results. This is great. I can't wait to see what the rest of the system is like. So this really helps us, in a way, overcome the need to have like virtuosity when it comes to creating sales pages and sales letters, because you're right, that really, really is a very difficult skill to master. So at this phase, and a lot of people do this, you could actually just say, hey, here's the order form, enjoy, right? Now, I do encourage you to have better sales copy than that, and I'll show you how to do it a little later on. But let's talk about how to structure what I call milestone content. That is content that's going to actually help them get the results in advance that they want. So I call it the power of 5. So what we want to do is first we want to write down the 5 milestones that your prospect must pass through in order to get the desired result, right? So each milestone that we talked about in relation to increasing conversion is listed here. First, he's got to write a good headline. Second, he's got to write a good subhead. Third, he's got to have a good opening. Fourth, he's got to have good bullets. Fifth, he's got to have a good guarantee. If he does all that stuff, he's probably got a pretty good sales message. His sales conversion will go up, right? So now that we know those 5 milestones, it's time to really diagram the way you're going to present each milestone to your prospect and the way you're going to help him get through it and how you're going to turn this into sales. So this is very, very easy. First thing I want you to do, get a blank piece of paper and write on it so it looks like this. Now, you're not going to write milestone topic at the top. You're going to write the actual milestone topic. So in this case, milestone number 1 for our guy here, it was how to write good headlines, right? So I'm just going to call it Headlines Made Easy. Now, you'll notice that we had 5 milestones. You'll also notice I've got 5 points on a numbered list beneath this title here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list 5 headline formulas, right? So in my content, I'm just going to give this prospect 5 good headline formulas he can model. And if he goes out and models them, he's probably going to have better conversion to start out with, and he's going to be happy, and he's going to want my stuff, right? I'm delivering goodwill. I'm delivering value. I'm not delivering hype. He's deciding for himself based on the results that my stuff works, right? So I'm just going to write down my headline formulas. Number 1, this is a classic formula, by the way. It's how to yay without boo. For example, yay is the good thing they like. Boo is the bad thing they want to avoid. So if we were talking to the fitness niche, we might say something like, how to lose 25% of your body fat and without living on a treadmill, right? Second formula might be X ways to Y and Z. For example, 25 ways to lose 30 pounds in 60 days. Right? Now, I don't know if that's an accurate thing. I don't know if you could actually do that in 60 days, but I'm just giving you examples kind of randomly generated, right? The third one, of course, is a direct copy from our beloved Louis Engel, the man who changed advertising history by discovering that thing that David Ogilvy mastered, which I taught you in the last video, and that is the headline formula of what everyone ought to know about X, right? What everyone ought to know about losing weight over 40. Okay? The fourth one is another classic, who else wants to X? Who else wants to get in the best shape of their life after 50? Okay? And the fifth one is, of course, the classic how to, which David Ogilvy really, really made masterfully when he created his ad for Ogilvy and Mather entitled How to Create Advertising That Sells. This is one of my favorite headlines, simply how to do the cool thing you want to do, right? So regardless of the content, you want to make it pretty good, but you don't want to bog him down. You just want to give him some stuff that he can consume in maximum 20 minutes or something and instantly grasp that he can do it, right? So here's the thing about making this stuff actually sell. And this is important. The content is never about the content itself. We're not trying to show off here. Instead, we need to understand the content is always about the prospect and, most importantly, his desired result. And because of this, and with this in mind, we need to frame this content for sales. So if we kind of diagram it, it's really a 3-step process. We frame the content with an introduction, then we deliver the content itself, and then we pitch, right? So let's talk about framing first. The easy way to frame is a simple script. You say, today I'm giving you blank, and then we have the magic words, so you can blank, right? So let me illustrate. Today I'm giving you 5 battle-tested headline formulas you can use. So that's the introduction to the content, and now we're going to frame it and show its benefit to the reader, like this. So you can increase your conversion and ultimately make more sales. The magic words there, by the way, are so you can. It is, today I'm giving you this, so you can get the big benefit you're after, right? So it's a pretty simple formula. So that's the easy way to frame your content. Now, the next phase is just to deliver your content, right? So in this case, I would just explain the 5 headline formulas and say, here you go, enjoy. Now, the final phase of this is to pitch, right? So it's important to remember the way this works, right? So we're not going to pitch and talk about how awesome we are and talk about how great our product is. If you recall, what we're doing right now is we're giving them some really cool content is going to get them through one of their milestones, and then that content is going to make them have the internal decision that, hey, I like this, I want more of this stuff. So they're going to click from there and go to our main sales page, right? So essentially we're pre-selling it. The sales page itself does the actual selling. The purpose of what we're doing right now is to make them have that internal decision trigger that, yeah, I want this stuff. That's what makes the sales page work so well. We're essentially pre-selling them. Then, of course, that leads to money. So here specifically is how to transition into the pitch, right? It's something I like to use that I call the triple fact transition. And this comes from NLP. It's essentially this NLP axiom that says if the first 2 facts are obviously true in a statement, then the third fact that you tell someone must be true as well. That's the way the brain perceives it, right? So if you tell someone 2 obvious facts, then you immediately state a third statement, the brain is more inclined to believe that the third statement is true. Now, clearly, this isn't something that would really work if you abused it, right? So if I said, we're on the planet Earth, and it is today, and you're immediately going to be picked up by a spaceship and flown to Never Never Land. Like, no one's going to believe that. So you can't really abuse this. You're going to use this instead to help someone make a decision that they're already prone to make, which is, hey, I like this person, and I want more of this stuff, right? So let me show you how to do it. The 3 facts I like to use are, number 1, you're online, right? Because obviously they're online. Number 2, I like to state that you're watching this video or you're reading this article or something else, because obviously that's true. And the third is I like to state, and you know XYZ. And it's usually not, and you know that I'm great. It is, and you know that you really want this result we've been talking about, right? That simply compounds the desire. Everything else we've done up to this point can simply do the rest of the work. So I'm not needing to do any heavy lifting here. So let me show you specifically how I would do it. I'll give you an example. I'd say, you're online, you're watching this video, and you know you can dramatically increase sales by making a few simple changes in your business. So what I've done right there is I've just transitioned into the pitch. It's a nice, smooth, hype-free way with a subtle bit of NLP in it to transition into the pitch. So now what do? Well, it's time to make the actual pitch. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you 3 different pitch patterns. You don't have to use all 3. You can just choose one of them, right? So the first one is where you'd say, that's why you're going to love XYZ. And XYZ is your product name. You give a brief description and then a call to action. So we would say it like this. So you're online, you're watching this video, and you know that a few simple exercises can really transform your body into the best shape of your life. And that's why you're going to love my Get Fit Fast program. It's a 12-week complete transformational program that literally takes you by the hand and walks you step by step into getting fit fast without working yourself into a frenzy. If this sounds good to you, simply click the video below this, click the button below this video to find out more. Right? So it's very, very simple. The next pattern is the if you thought this was helpful pattern. It goes like this. And if you thought this video was helpful, you're really going to like XYZ. Then you do the same thing. You give a brief description and a quick call to action. The call to action is never to buy it. It's never to do anything hypey. It's just to go find out more, right? We're just having them take little baby steps towards yes. The final pattern is the most people pattern. It goes like this. Most people who are serious about growing their business take a look at XYZ. Then again, you just, actually, incidentally, that has a little bit of an embedded command, which is take a look at XYZ, right? From an NLP perspective, for all you NLP lovers out there. And at the end of it, of course, you give the brief description and the call to action. So creating this massive goodwill and creating these internal decision triggers is not only easy, it's also tremendously beneficial to your marketplace. This is the kind of thing that your prospects really are going to love. This is the kind of thing that's going to make your relationship with them thrive. This is the kind of thing that's going to make them say, you know what? I like this guy. I want to do business with this guy. This person can help me get the results that I want. I believe in this. This is good. And why? Not because of hype, not because of some unbelievable sales jujitsu that everyone else is trying to do, but because of plain old common sense. This worked for years and generations, right? That for some reason has been abandoned in favor of hype and overinflated promises. Well, let's let everybody else do that, right? Let's talk about how we can really get money for you. So what's really cool about this and the way it can really help you increase sales is everything I just showed you, well, that was just around that one milestone of headlines. But in this example, remember, we created this content and we used that pitch patterns and those transition patterns and that framing pattern I taught you. And we said, hey, enjoy this content. And if you like this, check out this sales page, right? Some of the folks bought. Well, what about the ones who didn't? Well, we have 4 more to go. We can give them the subheads and do the same thing, send them to the sales page. We can give them the content about open. We can give them the content about bullets, and we can give them the content about guarantees. That's 5 different angles we can take right there just instantly within the first little period of their relationship with you to get massive goodwill with them, to deliver massive value to them, to cause you to be positioned as a trusted friend and advisor. And of course, every single one of these 5 things helps you sell because they have that pitch transition, right? And all of that leads to more sales for you when you do this properly. And look, this is a pretty long video. This is a little bit longer than I anticipated in making it, but you know what? I really wanted to make something useful for you. I didn't want to just give you that useful but incomplete stuff that people talk about. I really wanted you to have everything you could to utilize this one strategy today. You've watched this, you've been with me for a while, and you know that this approach is the one for long-term success. And it's also the one for very, very quick success if you apply it to the right marketplace. And we demonstrated that, right? I showed you in the last video how that one ad using that massive goodwill approach caused Louis Engel to blow Merrill Lynch up into a major global powerhouse. And then I showed you how David Ogilvy perfected and refined Louis Engel's approach with his advertising style. And I gave you the swipe file and gave you the tutorial on that. And then today, I talked about how to take that massive amount of subscribers you're getting from using that goodwill methodology and further deliver value to these people to cause them to decide that you're awesome and to cause them to want to do business with you instead of you having to be pushy like everybody else. And if you have enjoyed this and if this approach resonates with you and if you can see yourself really getting results from this right now, then you're really going to enjoy and benefit from a class that I have created called Mass Conversion. Now,